And here we are again, Truth-Seeking Souls with your host, Jim Haig. How are you? Hope everything's good. Crazy world we're living in, but we are experiencing some major shifts and some changing times. And again, I am honored to have my very dear friend, Miss Janet Venturini. Janet Venturini, or is it janventurini.com? Yeah, janventurini.com.
Yes, janventurini.com.
All right, so go visit her website, go check it out. Still a radiant beauty at the age of, what, 80 now?
82.
Wow. So, yeah, let me tell you, she is, you are the sharpest 80-year-old I know, and I can say that because my mom's 80, and my in-laws are 80, and, you're sharp as some of these 20-year-olds.
Well, it's interesting. I work with a medical doctor who does anti-aging, and I take a product called Body Bio, and it flushes all the toxins out of your body ongoing. And I started taking it like 3 years ago. Plus, I do a lot of stimulating games for my left brain. I do meditating for my right. And you know what? Spirit's been good to me. I come from a family of longevity. My parents they were married for 72 years. So they lived into their 90s. And so I'm lucky, and I'm happy that I'm lucky that I can just do this. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I tell you, some people don't want to live that long, but you manage,
Well, here we are, right?
Here we are. Okay, well, speaking of age, we, as I'm hearing and understanding, of course you'll educate us about this, we're entering into what is known as the Age of Aquarius, right? Is that true?
That is very, very true. We were leaving behind, Jim, the age of Pisces. Pisces represented authority and power, and it was really a time where it was a male-dictated society, and it was actually allowing for authority over us to dictate us. And it's the absolute opposite when you look at the Aquarian age. And yet we're in still the crossover times, Jim. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're seeing, this struggle for authority and this struggle to push women down, push them backwards, back into the kitchen, back to having children and not being in the workforce. And I thought it was fascinating when they removed women from all documents in the White House. It's either man or white that's written there now, and not women.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean women are?
They how women fought for equality?
Yeah.
So it was, we no longer talked about mankind, but humankind, womankind, mankind. Well, they're removing from a lot of documentation. They're moving towards just putting man and white and taking out women altogether.
Interesting.
So when you read something, you're reading about mankind, all right?
Yeah.
Not humankind, or women won't be included. It's fascinating, but let's go into the Aquarian age. Okay, Pisces is, when you go back to the Piscean age, all right, that's, by the way, the huge spiritual movement with meditation and all, because Pisces is ruled by Neptune, which is really a powerful planet, and it's about spiritual revolution. When you move into Aquarius is a time where Aquarians is ruled by the planet Uranus, which is the planet of change. It's a planet of sudden happenings, shocking happenings, things that keep you on your feet. And one of the things that's occurring during this Aquarian age is that people are having to be more present because it's not patterned like it was in the past, right?
Yeah.
And because it's not patterned like it was in the past, everything's changing in a moment. We have to, each of us, do the things that we have to just kind of be on our toes. Monumental things can change overnight in a 24-hour period, right?
That's what I'm seeing. Anything, not just a 24-hour period, like a 5-hour period.
And a 5-minute period.
Yeah.
And so Aquarius is a feminine side. It's called the water bearer.
Okay.
It's about balance. But in order to get to balance, it doesn't just temper it. It doesn't just gradually move you into change. It takes you to the absolute wall that you can't deal with. So so that change occurs. So it shocks you. We have to get used to this very electrical energy. It's because Aquarius is very electrical. It's very energetic. It's energy driven. That's why we're going to see inventions in this time that are just out of this world. We're going to see incredible things created overnight. It's like we don't have to wait 100 years for them. But we're in the midst of the change right now. And so we're kind of hanging out with a lot of old authority here from that Piscean age, grabbing and trying to hold on tight to what was. And then we have a lot of breakthroughs coming of shifting and changing and bringing about things that will actually move us to a completely different realities of merging. And women are supposed to be stepping out a lot more into all forms of positions to balance the energies, all right? And so it's required for women to step up. And so I think a lot of this power being taken away from women is designed to wake them up so they'll step out and say, no. Don't do this to my daughters. No. And so women need to collaborate, cooperate, and join in. So it turns people upside down and inside out. Very rarely do we ever live on a planet as human beings when we're having as drastic a change occur as moving from the Piscean age to the Aquarian. So it is unusual. If you feel like you're lost in life, then you're doing it right. You should feel lost.
Oh, well, that makes me feel good.
Yeah, because everything is changing so fast, Jim, that we can't catch up with ourselves. Nothing feels stable, and nothing feels for sure. Nothing feels absolute. And that's when you know that you're in the midst of phenomenal transportation.
Well, we do live in a weird
transformation.
We do live in a weird age right now, because I'll tell you, I'm a teacher, and I see a lot of Generation Z, and to be quite honest, they just seem bizarre to me. They're not as well. I mean, I'm not saying that the tough men don't act masculine, but I'm noticing that the women are stepping up and they're winning valedictorians and they're winning, sporting events and scholarships.
Yes.
But at the same time, I'm seeing like there's an openness, like for instance, homosexuality. It's more, I guess, it's more open and more accepted now. It is still, if you're from a conservative mind frame, it's still, something that's hard to deal with. But it's just bizarre that this generation is so different. Maybe it's because of social media. I'm not sure. What's your take on why this generation is so, I guess, not as strong? I mean, they can get hit. They can get hit by a little rock and they'll cry. Whereas in my generation, we're like, we'll just shrug it off.
Well, first of all, we're souls, and we've been male and we've been female, okay? And many of us have stronger energy towards what we have been, not what we're born into. And what homosexuality is are souls that come into male bodies but have strong energies towards being female, so they're drawn to males. You might have women born in female bodies that have been male a lot and have strong drawings to women. And so it's really about acceptance. This time is about a little of everything. Another thing that's going on, Jim, are young men are coming in that don't have those strong testosterone energies. They're more balanced. They're more androgynous. And as androgynous beings, they're not so drawn to the constant ideology around sex as a first thought, especially teenagers. They're not there. They're more balanced in their male and female, which makes them appear softer, actually. They make androgynous males and androgynous females are getting harder to tell apart. It's kind of like, do you remember the days of the hippies when they all had long hair and wore low jeans and you couldn't tell the boys from the girls?
Well,
right?
Yeah, I guess.
This is more of an internal happening where we have very soft males being born, a lot of strong females being born, And so it's balancing out human life, because the Aquarian age is about the unusual. It's about, if you want to hear the biggest word of all for the Aquarian age, it's authenticity. Being authentic. One of the biggest problems with the youngest society is that they grew up on cell phones. They grew up on computers instead of interaction. Instead of running through the woods and playing games in person, everything was done in video games. It was all done online. They haven't had, so they're not used to having interaction that's joking and kidding and playing, so that they're not as socially adaptable. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so that's one of the big reasons that that's happened. The sensitivity level is enhanced because they haven't had as much hands-on as past generations did. And yet they're very creative beings. And it's going to be, the things that are going to be created in this time on the planet are going to be absolutely amazing. Inventions are going to be overnight. You're going to see things come about so quickly because actually during the Aquarian age, because it is an air sign, and it allows for us to penetrate the veils of reality. Now I'm going to get real esoteric on you. But the veils of reality are very thin in Aquarian times. And so what that really means is, when we look back, we say, wow, were there ETs ever here? Did they come to this planet? Because we have found surgeries done on skulls that are thousands of years old and trying to figure out, how did that happen? Stones that have laser cuts in them. We go, how did that happen? Well, there have been other times on this planet that more advanced beings have been here, right? So in the Aquarian time, because we have the thinning of the veils between all the realities, it means that we can tap into knowledge from anywhere and everywhere. That's what's going to bring about all of these wonderful new things coming on the planet, that it's going to make life much easier for all of us. But it's going to completely change. If we look at a future here, we're going to see a future here where we don't abuse the environment as much. We live more in congruent with that environment through new technologies. A lot of new technologies. And AI is going to bring about a lot of things that are going to simplify life for people, so that they don't need to be afraid of it. I think one of the most important thing for people to do in this major transition from the past of the Piscean age to the Aquarian is to not live in a state of fear.
So then, all these conflicts that are happening around the world, in Gaza and Ukraine and a few other places that doesn't ever get mentioned, like Sudan, why is that? Because of the Piscean age, or is that where the cusp?
It's because of power. It's because of greed and power. All right.
Okay.
But let me just give you an idea. What would happen if overnight all money crashed in all countries?
I think there would be a massive hysteria. Okay.
What if we came to a place, because we evolved so much that we realize for one of us to survive, all of us have to survive, so we have to share everything. We cannot have one person owning a lot and another person owning a little.
Wow.
And so all assets and all resources have to be shared.
That would be a utopia.
Well, go back to the Bible. What does it say? All right, if you go back to the Aramaic Bible, all right, that Jesus spoke in Aramaic.
Yeah.
All right, everything was given to us, and we were told to share it with one another. We weren't told to create a value, a dollar value for something. We weren't even told to create currency. So what could happen? Imagine, a utopia of a place where everything is shared, all right? If you grow wheat in your part of the world, you're going to trade that for corn in another part of the world. Everything gets shared. Maybe they even create a point system. So when you give something, you accrue points, and you take something, you use points. But everyone has a right to live. All right, it would not stop anyone from really pushing to learn more, or to advance medicine, or to advance science, because all their needs would be met. That's how it was in Lemuria. Lemuria, all resources were shared with one another. No one had to worry about going to school or worry about how they'd feed their family because all resources were shared. And that's how all societies, most societies, if you go back to primitive times, lived in tribes and shared everything. So it's when money, we created a value around things, that money got out of control. So right now we are the richest man in the world changing our government for us?
Isn't that amazing?
It doesn't make sense, does it? It doesn't really make sense because that person has no reality how most of the world lives.
No.
Right? So basically, when things get out of control, change will occur naturally because actually, if you don't have people to buy goods, that person who owns a lot won't make any money if no one's buying it, will they?
You would think.
Yeah, so the Aquarian age will be totally shifting and really bringing about, for most people, freedom. Because it's authenticity and freedom that are supposed to be really the conquest of the Aquarian age. Freedom to express, to create. The arts will grow, music will grow, media will grow, everything, inventions will grow, everything will grow in the Aquarian age. It will, in all these wars, all these things going on the planet right now is bringing the Piscean power to a head. Because what can we do? Anyone uses nuclear, they'll destroy the world. They'll destroy themselves.
Right.
So you really can't use it, because if you use it, you destroy everybody. So you have to reach a point to realize that this isn't working. This is not working. But the reality is that when we go to sleep at night, and this is good for people to know, we're being shifted and changed. All right? And as we shift and change, all right, we will evolve with the times. It's just that right now, you really have to focus on being in the moment, knowing that life is going through some real transformation. Keep life as simple as possible for yourself. Try not to get too involved in what is happening because it's all in transition. It's only in transition. It's not permanent.
How long do we have to wait? How do we know when the transition? Because transitions take time. So how long?
Well,
does it take?
not in the Aquarian age. Not now. Have you not noticed how fast things are moving?
I mean, I see a lot of pain and warfare. And I see, right now we have a government that can capture an undocumented man with a family of 5 kids and everything, and all of a sudden finds himself in Guantanamo Bay.
Not only that, but in Panama, they're in the jungle. They sent them to Panama. They sent people back to Panama, and they didn't even check their credentials. They didn't even check why they were here. And now they're in the jungles of Panama, which is heartbreaking. It's very difficult to look at all this. If we focus on that, our hearts will be broken. And the reality is, how long can this continue before something shifts?
Yeah, and I think the people making these decisions, I expect a price to be paid. I can't.
There will be.
I can't see
what I
this
look
happen.
at? Life is like a boomerang, Jim. Everything that we put out and do will come back to us exactly the same way. If Elon Musk continues to do this, he's going to be a starving child in Sudan. All right? He's going to come in, if he's even allowed to come back into life. Hitler's not been allowed. All right? So when we damage other people, we will be damaged. Understand that.
You're talking about the next life.
We will be raped. Because we live more than one life. We are mortal. We are immortal souls that come into lifetime after lifetime in different bodies. And everything that we do, we will be rewarded with the good things that we do by having good things come back to us, because that's a boomerang. And we will be harmed by those acts that we commit that are harmful to others. Because remember this. All right. A child goes out to the other side, they're loved. back into wholeness. They are not suffering there. Understand that. All right? So, and then they're sent into another life. To be this harmful to a society can mean termination of the soul. I mean, I've talked to you about that.
Yeah.
Some souls become terminated if they're too harmful to others. The tragedy, the thing that we have to deal with is that when we come here, we're given free will. If we want help, we have to ask for it because we have free will to try to figure things out for ourselves. So it's going to take people saying no and getting creative and doing what they need to do. If they need to go protest something, go do it. All right? I mean, it's what's going on right now is a man with a spoiled childhood who is very damaged, is very vengeful, and he's in his vengeance is hurting others. And another man who has Asperger's syndrome, who doesn't seem to care about anything other than reducing his taxes. So these are the people that are running our government right now. However, how long can that really go on? I mean, we were at one time, and another time when we went through the crash of 1929, 5 families owned the United States, and Roosevelt came in and rescued it in World War II, rescued us out of that situation. So in this reality that you're looking at, it's all very new. It's something we've never experienced before. And I will say this, life is forever. You are eternal. So change is what's on the horizon. But this change is not going to just be going in the direction it's going now. They're going to be out of this. It's going to come some really new directions that will be good. All right? That will allow for change. We need some change because we've had too many situations that in the United States of America, children, it costs them so much to go to college. In other countries, it's free.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a lot of imbalances in our country that need to be corrected. And so by going to an extreme like this, it's going to bring about the wise people that are going to come forth and are going to create it different. But we have to all play a part. We can't not vote. Number one, how many people out there don't vote?
Quite a few.
Right? I mean, there's a large percentage of people that don't take the time to care about what's governing them. All right, so maybe they now will say, I need to get involved. I need to do something. Maybe it brings people forward. But what I see coming into the future, and it's very hard to say because it depends how long it takes for a lesson to be learned and when enough population are ready for things. So with that in mind, I see really good things coming out of this, even as painful as it looks right now, because it's bringing division to a head. It's popping that bubble of division, divided. We are all part of one soul, an oversoul. We're all pieces of one oversoul. Doesn't matter whether I'm born East Indian, I'm born African, I'm born Chinese. Doesn't matter. I'm part of one whole. There is no separation. So for us to divide ourselves like we have and to say you're good and you're not is ridiculous. You're criticizing a part of yourself.
Interesting.
Yeah, we're one soul. It's like a big cloud in the sky and a million raindrops fall down on the planet. But they all are the cloud. So when you go back to the oversoul, you merge with all beings. And so there is no division there.
Well, what if we have different interests? What if we have different interests? One person's interested in music, the other person's interested in football.
It just enhances the oversoul, doesn't it?
I'm not sure.
All that goes back to enhance the oversoul. One person might be a great poet. Another one might be a great teacher. Each one gets to go on that individual path, but that enlivens. But at the same time, what they're not supposed to do is criticize somebody else's path, right?
Yeah, true.
Where the problem is coming in is dividing people. against each other. That's where all the problems are coming from. You know, I would have the right to be a good whatever. Well, you have the right to be a good whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But why can't we love each other for the difference instead of dislike each other for the difference?
Very good question.
And isn't that what Christianity and most religions supposed to be about?
It's supposed to be.
Love. I mean, one of the Ten Commandments is love thy neighbor as thyself.
Yeah.
It doesn't say what kind of neighbor, right?
No, it also said thou shalt not kill, and all of a sudden,
that's right.
Yeah.
Thou shalt not kill. Yeah, and so getting back to the principles of life, don't think that there is not a price to pay for that. I talk to any person sent to war who's had to kill a person, and they're going to tell you a part of them dies when they have to shoot another human being. Even if it's someone they don't know at the war, a part of them dies. How many of those boys commit suicide when they come home? Because they just can't cope with what they did. So it's a difficult thing. To take a life is to take a part of yourself and throw it out there and to damage it. So it is, you know, when you grow spiritually, we were supposed to have grown enough spiritually to look at the world as one world, one society, not something that's all divided. And I will tell you this, Jim, I do feel that there are going to be some damaging things come on the planet for those people who live in a state of rage and anger and selfishness and contempt. There are going to be some things happening in the future. And I would say, you know, one of the greatest gifts that we can give ourselves each day is when we have an opportunity to be kind, be considerate, forgive yourself and others for transgressions. Take an inventory of yourself daily, and always develop an attitude of gratitude.
Well, I think another thing is that we have to be aware of who those damaging people are. I think that's a...
Well, by awareness, what we can do is step out and say, what can I do today? I write to my senators. I write to my assembly people. I let them know what I'm not in agreement on and what I am, all right? Because they represent me.
Right.
They represent I'm one of their constituents, right?
Well,
so
that's what we like to think.
So if you aren't happy with what's going on, then definitely you should take a stand. You can go to a town hall meeting. You can go to a protest. There was just a really big one on President's Day.
Yeah.
And there's going to be another one.
Yeah.
And so you have a right to stand up for what you believe in. Each person does. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you don't have to be cruel about it. You don't have to hurt somebody to do it.
No, you don't have to burn down or loot, burning down buildings or, causing damage. No, you don't do that. Some people find that the opportunity to do that, but that's shameful.
And I will tell you, another big powerful thing about the Aquarian age is more dreaming will occur for people. There'll be more an awareness of their dreams, more of an awareness of a bigger reality, more awareness period, where they're going to actually be more aware of everything happening and why it's happening. So people are being advanced as they're growing. So a lot of those young people that you're talking about, they are being downloaded with all kinds of information every night when they go to sleep. And so you are open to viewing life in a bigger way and be open to it, because they call Aquarius the I know sign in the zodiac. All right? And they don't even know what they know and where it comes from, because they're connected to the universal souls. So we are all living in a universal consciousness right now.
So it's powerful, but when do we get to see this? How do we know we're in the Age of Aquarius? I mean, what is there like?
Well, no new age appears in an exact moment in time. We've been gradually moving into it since 1979.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So we've been gradually moving into this Aquarian age since then, and we're continuing to move into this Aquarius age. So we're overlapped.
How long?
With the two ages.
How long are these ages? I mean, we went
It all depends on the people on the planet and consciousness and how rapidly it advances. Most people feel by 2050 we'll be full bore in the Aquarian age.
Okay.
It could happen sooner.
Okay.
But lots of events will happen before then.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on as we're transiting. We're in the next 5 years is a critical time of releasing and letting go. So everything is coming up that we need to let go of right now. And so we have to just look at that and see what we're ready to just release from our lives. All right? It's like, for instance, I see a lot of people coming to me now that used to love to accumulate, buy, and they're going, I just don't want this stuff anymore. I'm just getting rid of it. I'm downsizing. I'm more living in a minimalist world now. I just don't know why I even wanted all this stuff. So all of a sudden, instead of being consumers, they're releases. And if you go to any thrift store now, they're getting really fussy about what they're taking, because so much has been brought to them that now they don't want books anymore, right? Mm-hmm. Nobody's doing books. There's a lot of items now you can't even take to a thrift store because so many people are unloading so much in their life because they're looking around going, yikes, I'm getting claustrophobia with all my belongings. And some people are wanting to move down to smaller environments and, more little communities, and they're getting edgy about moving, and there's all kinds of little tiny things going on with people right now. Mm-hmm. And you see them, it's like, even diets have changed. Go into a part of the world. I was in Oklahoma when I did my sister's funeral, and I was shocked with the foods that they ate. I couldn't eat that food. Are you kidding? I couldn't get up and move if I did, right?
Right.
Heavy diets. And I was like, whoa, I've been living in California and Hawaii too long. I much prefer fresh fruits and salads and fish and light fare. And here they are with Mississippi pot roast and mashed potatoes and creamed corn and cornbread. And I'm like, oh, my God, save me. I can't eat this.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's very different. So even our diets are changing. The foods we're eating are changing. More vegetarians than you've ever seen on the planet right now. Where I live are tons of raw people. They eat only raw. And so, a lot has already shifted and changed, and a lot more to come.
Well, I look forward to that because I think we definitely need some changes.
Oh, we do. And there are more and more integrative health clinics coming up that will help you prevent disease. And they're really good. You have hyperbaric chambers, you have, oxygen, you have vitamin infusions, you have detox infusions, all kinds of things. Eventually what I see is doorways that you walk through it and just diagnoses your body and everything, whatever your needs are for that day. It makes you up a concoction with all the right vitamins and supplements for you.
Interesting. Very interesting. Well, Jan, that's all the time we have right now. Is again another fascinating topic, and again, I look forward to witnessing all these changes because we really need something like this where we can kind of live in peace and harmony and togetherness. So, and this is Jim Haig for Truth Seeking Souls on behalf of Jan Venturini. I want to thank you again, Jan, and we'll come back next week. Everybody,
thanks, Jim.
Be well.